It is 7:32 on the second day of ConExpo. We're here in the West Hall. I'm going to go do a complete tour back to where I started, which is the Walkaround stand. But I'm going to take you for a bit of a stroll around the entire West Hall. Some big names in here, including Sunward. I think Hyundai are in here. I think maybe John Deere are in here as well. So I'm going to flip the camera around and then we'll go and do the guided tour. Taking you past a massive BKT tyre and some smaller ones as well, but we're over on the Sunward stand now. There you go, there's the Sunward piling rig there. Complete array. There's a really colourful machine in the background. I'll take you around and see that in a second. Here we go. Obviously this one decked out for all things American. Very smart it looks too. But that's a paint job, isn't it? And it extends up to the dipper as well. If I can get the camera to focus on it. We come out of the Sunward stand, we're going right next door to Yanmar. Again, another big stand, lots of compact equipment on display. Over into their tractors. I can see Maruka in the distance, but we'll come back to that because I'm going to kind of loop back on myself. Now, generally I tend to think of Kato as a crane company, which obviously they are, but they also make a full range of construction equipment as well, including track carriers, excavators, mini excavators. And there we are, that's the Kato stand. I'll work my way through here. Yeah, right down to the micro excavators there, and over into the compact track loaders. Larger excavator as well, and the minis and the smaller track carriers. There's a company here called Takeuchi, which I don't know. Based on the name, I'm going to guess they're probably Chinese, but I'll come to them in just a moment. But we'll go over to Takeuchi first. Just in case you are wondering, it is 7:30 in the morning, so there's not many people here yet. We got in extra early, one of the joys of having an exhibitor's pass, so we can actually have a good look around. It's very, very busy at the show yesterday, so things that I'm doing at the moment would have been really difficult yesterday. Massive stand Takeuchi have got. Some nice looking machines as well. AMI attachments, always like to keep an eye on what these guys are up to. Fantastic array of attachments. If we do a right now, past the remainder of the AMI stand, I'll take you to see Prinoth, and then we'll have a look around Takeuchi, which I mentioned previously.
AMI Pro Series heavy-duty digging buckets are available.
Here we go, here's Prinoth. We were actually with one of their rivals yesterday, Piston Bully. Fantastic looking machines. And here is Takeuchi. As I say, it's not a name I'm familiar with. As you can see, quite an extensive range. Skid steers. I'll take liberties and walk right the way through their stand. Compact track loaders in the background there. mini excavators. I have to say, I don't need one, but it's quite like one of those. And just in case you are wondering about my voice, yes, I did a lot of talking yesterday, so voice is a little deeper than it is normally. Over to Cimex, another attachment company. And on to Maruka Dumpers, a bit more of a familiar name I think in the UK. There's the Topcon stand as well. We're actually going to be doing more work with Topcon probably later today actually, so I'll save those for another film. But we're going to carry on down here because I can see in the distance one of the biggest, well the second biggest name in construction equipment in the entire world, that's Komatsu. But while I'm strolling along, just think about the number of steps I'm currently taking. I don't know how many that is. Our watch will keep a record of it. But this is just one out of, I think, half a dozen halls that are occupied by ConExpo. I'll probably loop back to Hyundai, as they call them here in the US. But first and foremost, let's go and have a look around the Komatsu stand. PC365, which I think most people are probably familiar with. Sorry about the music in the background, but they've started early. Past the intelligent dozers. We saw this cab, I think, at Balmer last time around. Bring you around here. Obviously you're aware of the fact that Komatsu have a tie-in with the Williams racing team. Well, as part of that, they've got a range here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 simulators. You can actually race around the Las Vegas Grand Prix circuit. Not switched on yet because it is very early in the morning. But that's the Komatsu stand. We'll go over this way. Over here on the left is their merch store, and I have to say, I do love me a bit of Komatsu merch. I shall have a very quick look in here because it is very early. I don't want to look like I'm stealing things, but there you are. That's the merch store for Komatsu. I'd like one of each of these, really. Then we'll get over to the real business end. D175 AX dozer. Into the loaders and the ADTs. So the HD 605 rigid truck. Bear in mind, we're indoors at the moment. They've got an HD 605 indoors. Equally impressive is that they've got that indoors as well. HM 900 from Montebear. I'm just trying to work out what machine this is mounted on. Yeah, PC 490, so best part of a 50-ton excavator, indoors, like you do. WA 475, another big lump of a loader. And we're literally talking about hundreds and hundreds of tons of equipment in an indoor space. The logistics for that must be absolutely incredible. As you can see, Komatsu have taken up a hell of a lot of space. Probably rightly so. They are one of the biggest equipment manufacturers in the world, so right and proper. We go back out and go left. Quite a few tyres on display in here. Must admit, I find it quite hard to get excited about tyres, but you know. necessary, but not the most interesting. Now I can see in the distance the John Deere stand, so we'll go and take a look at that. I don't know if they've got any of their new excavators on display, but we'll find out when we get there. We're going to do a bit of a stop before we get there, because the Chemrock stand I think is just around here. Yeah, Rockland Manufacturing, we've featured them on the show in the past. If we swing past here into Chemrock, there's a big old bucket as well. We'll take a stroll past here. You can probably see in the distance now the John Deere stand, but we get to Bobcat first. And I know Bobcat, I'm not entirely sure if this is the main stand for Bobcat. There you are, mini excavators. This is my first glimpse. I'm fairly sure this is the Rogue X3. I saw the Rogue X2 in the past, but I think this is the X3. It is the Rogue X3. What an amazing piece of kit that is. It looks like something straight out of Thunderbirds, and I mean that as a compliment. There you are, driverless, all electric. I'm fairly sure it's a dry system as well, so no actual hydraulics on it. Just an astonishing piece of kit, and even if that turns out to be nothing more than a concept rather than a real machine, really looks like they've thought outside the box, which is kind of what Bobcat are all about. They've got quite a big stand here actually, so I'm going to take a very quick spin this way. These are the products I think Bobcat are best known for: compact track loaders, and more specifically over in the distance there, skid steer loaders. And we'll do a quick right and a quick left. Another great merch shop. Anybody that watches the Breakfast Show will know that I do love me a bit of Bobcat merch. I can see the baseball caps in the background. I think I own probably 2 or 3 of those already. Awesome array. Back out the front door. Over onto Kubota. I know we tend to think, well, in the UK we tend to think of Kubota purely as mini excavators, but there's way more to Kubota than just mini excavators, as you can see. Skid steers, compact track loaders. Through their merch store as well. I put myself into a dead end, so let's spin back around and we'll do, well, you can see where we're headed. Let me do a right here. And then we'll go in the main entrance to the John Deere stand. Past the engine display. Let's be absolutely honest, there are a few names that conjure America, quite like John Deere, so they're wearing their stars and stripes with pride. Fine machine that we're unlikely to see in the UK anytime soon. John Deere 824 wheel loader. I really shouldn't go into their merch store because it will cost me money, but let's go and have a very quick look. And here's the bit that everybody comes to the John Deere stand for, the John Deere hat. It's beyond merch at this point. I think it's just an iconic piece of headwear. Headwear? John Deere backhoe loader. Now, I'm not seeing the excavators here, so maybe there's another stand elsewhere, possibly outside. But while we're heading in this direction, let's carry on, because as you can see right here, we've got the case display. And spin around here again, wearing the stars and stripes with enormous pride. Case TV 620B compact track loader. What a fantastic looking piece of kit that is. More familiar colour schemes over here. And we saw this one, so I do know about it. This was at Balmer. You can see on the side here the name Hetfield. Those of you that are into your rock music will know that's actually named after James Hetfield, lead singer of Metallica, who actually owns some case equipment, and they've done that machine in tribute to him. If I go back around here, because there is a bit more John Deere that I didn't get to show you. I'm saying that, I'm not entirely sure it is John Deere. This might be, oh actually this is the Trimble area. And we'll be doing more with them at some point in the not too distant future. This is the Cat Compact stand. Still celebrating the 100 years of Caterpillar with the old school grey colour scheme. There you go, 100 years of Caterpillar. I think this is one of possibly 2 or even 3 stands that Caterpillar have got here. They've got the big outdoor area, which is like an arena, and then they've got this part as well. I'm fairly sure there may even be another part elsewhere. Now this bit does look a bit like a dead end, but it isn't, because the Indico stand is tucked around here, and given the fact that I do like me an attachment, I thought I'd bring you around here. There we are. Fantastic array. Which brings us back to Trimble. Now I'm going to do a left here and then a right. I'll probably speed this part of the video up purely just to give you an idea of the sheer length of this haul. You turn left at the Cat Compact stand. Then we're going to turn right, keeping case on our right, and this is where I speed things up, because if you have a very close look, that's the length of the haul. So here we go. And we're back where we started, at that massive BKT tyre. Going past Trek. We're going to complete our tour of the West Hall with a look around the stand of Wackenwissen. And there we are, Wacker-Neuson. Full range here on display. I know I say it every time I talk about Wacker-Neuson, but I'll say it again. One of the real innovators of the industry. In past the mini excavators through to some of their compaction equipment, compact track loaders, tiny ride-ons as well. Right, I've been talking for about almost half an hour now. I've started to see people who are actually coming into the show now, so I think the doors must be opening fairly soon. So that pretty much wraps up our tour of the West Hall. Just a few more bits and pieces on the Wacker-Neuson stand. And that concludes our tour of the West Hall.